Hello and welcome to a special edition of The Big Fight. Now, we are 1 week to go before we probably know which our next government is. So 1 week from now, right here on The Big Fight, we're either going to be in a position to be telling you, well, look, this is the government and these are probably the cabinet ministers and we'll be doing all of that. Or we're going to be trying to see how a government can be stitched together and who's going to be getting which ally to come and join them in the state of a hung assembly. But that's hung parliament. So that's a week to go. Let me welcome our guests and try and see which scenario we think is more likely. Sambit Patra, sitting here from the BJP, has got that smile on his face which says that I don't have to worry, I think I know which scenario there is. Randeep Singh Surjewala joining us, Cabinet Minister of the Haryana government, probably disagrees with, well, you're not quite looking as if you're disagreeing, or are you disagreeing with what he thinks is going to be happening?
Well, time will tell, and I'm sure those who are arrogant about assumption of power will know that people of this country are far, far bigger than mandate and arrogance of one person.
Randeep, my sweet smile, how does it appear as an arrogance?
No, definitely it's not directed at you.
He's just smiling. Okay. Prashant Bhushan of the Aam Aadmi Party, what is this week going to mean for the Aam Aadmi Party? Is it going to be a major national force, or will there be questions asked about its future 1 week from now? Mr. D. Raja of the Communist Party of India, will it be a 2004 type scenario where you are again going to be holding a major role, or will you be perhaps looking at possible irrelevance? Mr. Raja, we will of course know 1 week from now. Amit Mitra, Dr. Amit Mitra joining us, Finance Minister of West Bengal. Are we going to be in another one of those situations which we had in the late 1990s where Didi will be holding all the trump cards and all roads will lead to Kolkata and people will be trying to persuade Didi and perhaps Jayalalitha as well, to try and get their support. But lots of permutations. With 1 week to go, this is our time to put on our fun hats, think of speculation, think of various permutations and what could possibly happen. So I will give you all that rider, that everything which we're going to do for the next 1 hour is in the realm of speculation. Sambit, you presumably feel that there is not much speculation left to go in Ab Ki Baar Modi Sarkar.
Definitely, अब की बार मोदी सरकार और अच्छे दिन आने वाले हैं. I believe अच्छे दिन आने वाले हैं, not just for the BJP or for the कार्यकर्ताs of BJP, but in a wider sense. Good days are there numbered for the country as such, because the kind of gloom that we had been witnessing since long over the economy of this country, over the growth of this country, definitely there is a sentimental change amongst the people. People are expecting that things would change for good. And that's why people, not just politicians, are keeping their fingers crossed for this 1 week period.
Now, you could, of course, be counting your votes before they are hatched, if I can mix my metaphors a bit.
We have counted in the sense we have always been saying of late that it would be more than 300 plus, because we are confident.
More than 300 plus.
Yes, definitely. And let me at the beginning itself state what Mr. Arun Jaitley categorically mentioned a few days ago. This election 2014 is a single horse race, and we all know who the horse is.
Dr. Mitra, we've heard Mamta Banerjee calling him other names. A horse wasn't necessarily one of them. Presumably your hope and expectation is going to be that that's not the scenario, that it's a hung sort of an assembly, or if it's the BJP or the NDA, they're left short. So Mamta Banerjee and the Trinamool are going to be in a position to really decide and to act as kingmakers. Is that your hope?
I think the issue, Mr. Chandra, is deeper than that. The issue is, on one side you have a corruption-ridden Congress, which everybody knows about. On the other side, you have an anti-secular entity, arrogance, as you could see from the conversation before, of a so-called Gujarat model, which statistically, if you examined it carefully, will find is in fact a mirage. And I'm happy to substantiate that later. The people of India are looking for a third process with the empowerment of the states, what Mamta Banerjee is calling federalism. So Mamta Banerjee is not representing just numbers. She's representing certain principles in which 3 years we made unbelievable progress of the common people, a people-centric, balanced, employment-centric, growth-centric process India is looking forward to in the next 7 days.
We'll discuss all those issues when we come to the West Bengal elections, and I promise you we'll discuss that. So let me get you in on that note, Prashant. At this particular stage, the sort of a hype and the euphoria that had been built up around the Aam Aadmi Party in January and February, where you were almost saying, he was talking about a one-horse race. At that time, some people were saying, oh, it's a three-horse race, Congress, BJP and Aam Aadmi Party. And there were people who felt that it was premature. But do you think there was too much hype earlier, and do you think there's a slight deflation of that right now?
No, I don't think so. Kashiram used to say, Kanshiram, that first election is for losing, second election is for making somebody else lose, and the third election is for winning. In Delhi, the very first election that we fought, we almost won. We didn't quite get a majority, but almost got a majority. I think we have at least reached that second stage where we may or may not be in a decisive position at this election.
But you will cut people's votes and you will make them...
This election will only be the semi-finals, in the sense that this election is not going to throw up any kind of decisive, stable government, unlike what the BJP and the Modi people,
okay, so
or even some of their propaganda machinery. Can I ask you a leading question
before I come back to the others?
Yes.
In that sort of a hung situation which you're talking about, whom is the Aam Aadmi Party likely to throw its hat in with?
Depend upon what situation emerges, but we are certainly not going to support any corrupt or communal government. In this election, what we are seeing is a massive propaganda hype on the basis of unprecedented use of money power, in order to try and create this impression as if there is a wave in favor of Mr. Modi, etc., in favor of just one person. Mr. Patra says it's a one-horse race. Unfortunately, they have not only tried to create this hype and wave on the basis of its...
But you're saying it's largely on the back of marketing. Let me just get the Congress in on this. It's also partly because from the Congress party, I have to say, has been looking defeated for a period of time. I mean, if you look at the way the Congress party has really run this entire campaign, it's not really as if, it's been batting on the front foot. Forget about being a Maxwell. It's not even been a Pujara trying to hit fours. It's been slightly on the back foot. How many times have you seen ministers coming out, coming on shows, going out there saying, this is our track record? It's almost as if the Congress party gave up before the elections had even started.
I won't agree with that, Vikram, and for the simple reason that just because Congress has been humble, we've been forthright, we've been simple.
Being this humble ahead of the election means that even if you had a chance to win,
you're not likely to win. And we haven't spent like the Bharatiya Janata Party and their candidate has done. As my friend with sweet smile said, it's a one-horse race. Congress is not about one-horse race. It's about accumulation of leadership. Led by one individual who's sincere, who's young, and who has a dream of carrying India forward.
If you are humble, is it because you have a lot to be humble about after the last few years?
Vikram, in politics, just because an allegation has been leveled against X or Y, that does not mean that a party tends to be arrogant, or a one-man party like the Bharatiya Janata Party has felt, where people feel suffocated inside and people feel suffocated outside to the extent of not touching them. Congress is not.
Can I just say something? I mean, that may have been a point a few months ago. They've actually got 28. There's a 28 ally NDA. How many allies does the Congress have right now?
In those 25, actually, let me correct what Mr. Modi said, that he has 25 allies. I can't count more than 4 major allies. If they have 9 or 10 allies in Tamil Nadu, where they are not even in contest on more than 1 or 2 seats, fair enough, congratulations to them. They can add 10 or 20 more parties.
But it's not that it's been impossible for them to get allies. They do have the TDP, they do have Paswan. How many allies?
Can I just intervene? Other than TDP, Shiv Sena and Akali Dal, which is the other major allies, since the only major ally that BJP had was Mr. Nitish Kumar, who left as soon as Mr. Modi came.
Let me tell you, Mr. Surjewala, this is a race. You may have a humble horse, but at the end of the day, the horse has to run. But your horse is not ready to run. That's the problem over here.
That's a perception.
Okay, I will come back to that. Mr. Raja, ever since you took the decision to pull down UPA 1 or get out of it, don't you think the left has really slid further and further into what some people would call irrelevance? Now, maybe 5-6 days from now, the numbers will be different, but that's the way it's looking right now.
No, you are right. We suffered some reverses in the early elections. and we had some setbacks, but it doesn't mean left will be written off. And I tell you, after the elections, after the counting is over, what kind of government is going to form, we will wait and see. But the relevance of left will be felt more, because the left alone, and I think with the support of some other committed secular democratic forces, can be in a position to take on the battle against BJP as well as against Congress. What we have been campaigning even today is for an alternative, a pro-people alternative. And yes, Congress, which is heading the most corrupt government in the post-independent India, must go. But it doesn't mean automatically the advantage will have to go to BJP. And
so Dr.
we are
Mitra,
asking the people to prevent BJP coming to power. One horse race. I am asking whose horse it is. I am asking, is it BJP's horse or horse of RSS? Mr. Modi is not just BJP's candidate. He is candidate of RSS. It is known to everybody. RSS, whose ideology is sectarian, divisive and communal fascistic, and they don't subscribe to the Indian constitution where we are discussing in front of parliament.
You know,
they talk
we've said all this
about
before the electorate
theocratic
and other than
state,
saying
and whereas
I'm
Indian
getting-
constitution talks about democratic republic. What are we discussing? I am asking, I am challenging, have they given up the Hindutva ideology? Have they given up the
I want to
Hindutva
answer.
politics? Because Hindutva is an ideology which believes in theocracy, whereas the Rashtrapati Bhavan, this parliament, will have to function on the basis of constitution given by Dr. Ambedkar. And India is a democratic republic. This is the challenge which we
can
are
I ask you, because
today.
can I ask you, because this is one of the big questions that is being asked right now, that, and certainly in the international press and among people abroad, are we going to see a changing of the basic nature of India, which is what the concern that Mr. Raja is alluding to?
Mr. Raja in fact pointed out that he's a single horse, but the horse of RSS or Bharatiya Janata Party, and where is he going to lead this country? Let me categorically answer Mr. Raja by saying that he's the only horse. Be assured from me, Mr. Raja, he's the only horse who will lead the chariot of India towards victory. And this is not an Indian philosophy. This is not an Indian philosophy that I'm speaking about. This is about what the brokerage homes of the foreigners also have spoken about. We have seen as to how the volatility index in the market has come down. This only speaks volumes about the fact that there is a sentiment in the market that things are going to change. And this is what the horse is going to do.
But hang on. So can I, some of the specific point which he's asking, and this is a valid question to address, is there's a certain perception that if he does become the Prime Minister, he will take the country in a certain direction. Officially, publicly, he's gone on saying, no, I'm not. And I'm going to continue to follow the same constitution, the same beliefs that we have always had. So, what is going to happen?
There are a section of people over here in India, mostly our opponents in politics, as you see in the panel also. It's but natural they would say that Mr. Narendra Modi will lead India in a certain direction, and we know obliquely they're hinting towards which direction. But a section, which are impartial section, a section who look after the economy of the country, the section who would be implying into the market of this country are speaking otherwise. They are saying, well, yes,
Samit, can I just interrupt you for a minute? It's not just your opponents who are saying that Mr. Modi is going to lead the country in that first direction. Actually, it's many of your supporters as well, the Giriraj Singhs and the others of the world. Now, I'm not saying that necessarily are the backing of Modi, but if you read what many of his supporters are saying, they are already saying, you know, I can show you messages right now. 1 week is coming. Ek hafte baad tum sabko dikha denge.
Yes.
No, that's the sort of messages that
Vikram, just a
will have
second.
to discuss.
Vikram, we are into a serious debate. I believe rhetorics from Twitters and rhetorics from Facebooks are not to be taken seriously.
No, but I mean,
no, this is a very important essence. And over here, I'm not going to talk about Giriraj Singhs and others also from the right-wing sort of mentality that you are probably pointing towards. In fact, Mr. Narendra Modi was very categorical the day we were releasing a manifesto. He on the stage mentioned we are contesting elections only on 2 issues, that is development and good governance. There is nothing, there is no third issue in fact, and that is what the international arena in fact has been speaking.
The issue is, what is good governance? Your governance is going to for the defense of India as a democratic republic or destroying the idea of India?
Mr. Raja, I'll answer that. In fact, one of the leading newspapers is...
No, this is the most important issue on which BJP must come clean.
I'm going to come clean right now.
I am asking.
Okay, so can I just ask a question? You see, now here we have a strange situation. All of you are saying Narendra Modi, if he becomes the Prime Minister, is going to change the idea of India and he's going to take the country down a fascist, fundamentalist, right-wing Hindutva path. Now, Narendra Modi himself is not saying that. He says actually saying quite the opposite.
Yes.
Mr. Narendra Modi
Vikram,
is
if
not
I may come in here.
a superhuman being or he has all powers to solve all the problems of India or humanity. Let us be very clear. Even Mr. Hitler was projected such a superhuman being who could solve all the problems of capitalism, which was
Can
in
I-
crisis
can I-
at that point of time.
Vikram,
So
Can I
let
just
us
add
not
one line?
mislead the
One
people.
line. We are undermining the ideas and ideology in this country, Vikram, on which country has been run for last 67 years. So this country can never be about one individual or empowerment of one person or one magic wand. It is accumulation of leadership and ideology which
Samit,
finally would run India.
please allow me
Samit,
some
can I
time.
just say you should take it as a compliment that everyone is ganging up on
No,
you
and
because that means you are the one horse
But,
whom everyone
but
wants
only
to try
compliment
and
would not
strip up.
complete this debate. So I believe some amount of time to me for answering what
Yes,
the questions
sure.
have been hurled upon me. First and foremost, exactly in 2014 we have seen a phenomenon in itself in the sense that everyone is ganging up against one man, and this itself is a phenomenon. This one man has to be a superman, otherwise why else all of you, just a second sir, why else all of you are ganging up? Secondly and most importantly, you say that Mr. Narendra Modi will take this country in one particular direction. And Mr. Raja, you would agree to the fact that when Miss Mamta Banerjee speaks about Bangladeshis, and she counters Mr. Narendra Modi by saying that he dare not touch a single Bangladeshi. And this is not what I am saying. This is what is on records. He dare not touch a single Bangladeshi. Is this the kind of nationalism that a particular party is talking about? And I believe we all are aware of the fact that the president of one particular party, one of the most important political parties of India, has to buy media space to address about Bharatiyata and Hindustaniyat, where the whole of the media has to buy an interview from ANI to show what the people of this country want to listen to. So I believe, though we may be politically outnumbered in the sense that most of you may be ganging up against me, but my country has ganged up against the others who are ganging up against me.
On that note, Dr. Mitra, let me just turn to you, because at the end of the day, you know, in your former hat, if you were to be wearing your former hat as the head of FICCI, Indian industry and all, and the stock market and the Sensex, and everyone believes that this is a big moment coming. Governance is going to improve, the economy is going to improve, you're going to get decisive leadership, and frankly, you know, after a certain sense of sloth and inability to get things done, I think there's a certain sense, certainly about people eyeing the economy, that that's what the country needs. On the other hand, are the other issues that you were talking about. Do you find yourself somewhat conflicted at this point?
I think it's very important, Vikram, if we can divide the discussion into two parts. One is the arrogance of the individual, the divisive nature of the individual concerned, because that seems to be only one individual from the BJP. I don't see a party there. He even says in his advertising, you press the button of the symbol of the so-called party and you will vote. Mere paas vote aayega. That's a sign of arrogance. This is a man whom I have seen over many years, and I see a dangerous chemistry where any structures he will smash for his own purpose in an authoritarian manner. Many people within their party are beginning to say that. The advertising you see of thousands of crores centered on one man who says, you press the button, the vote will come to me. Not in a democratic structure of a political party. So one element of the discourse is this a man who is going to be dangerous for the chemistry of India in terms of its current structure, because of the arrogance, because of the authoritarian manner in which he even talks of the riots in Gujarat in the puppy epithet. You know that. He says that when you drive, I will be sad क्योंकि कोई puppy रास्ते में चक्के के नीचे आ गया. I mean, look at the man's gut reaction. That's one element.
We've been hearing some really interesting animal analogies coming from Mamta Banerjee, you know, in just a recent past. Okay, so you're saying forget about what he's going to do for the economy, blah, 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 because he's devising to take the country down a different track.
I've listened very patiently. Let me throw into the discussion the second element. The second element is one of development and governance. Now here I would like to state very clearly that this whole notion of development of the so-called Narendra Modi or Gujarat model has serious lacunae to the point of a mirage. And I'm happy to contest that with data which the media is not looking at. Growth has declined. Per capita income is 9th in Gujarat. When he took over, it is still 9th.
Yeah, can I just ask you a slightly different question? You know, the discussion that we are having out here almost underlines
Yes.
one very interesting thing that is going to happen 5-6 days from now. From what everyone is saying, there's one possibility. It's going to be Narendra Modi and a BJP government. That's one possibility. He's at one figure. Let's say it's not that. Let's say some of the opinion polls are wrong and it's a different figure, and we have to try and cobble together some different sort of a government. Now, here's where the other problems come in. You said we should have a non-corrupt, non-secular government, which means that's normally a euphemism for not BJP, not Congress. Mr. Raja said the same thing. But you and Mr. Raja can't be together in a government. Samajwadi Party and Bahujan Samaj Party can't be together in a government. So the contradictions in even AIADMK and DMK cannot. So how can another formation possibly come which doesn't have so many contradictions of its own?
Only thing I can say to you is that my party, Trinamool Congress, led by Mamata Banerjee, we will be definitely the third largest party in the country. That is for certain. Now the rest is in the realm of speculation. The second is we are also clear that we will not go with a communalist entity, given the history that we have seen over these days, where divisive, very patronizing authoritarian structures are coming through. But we will be the third largest party. The question you've raised is what is the third front, or what is the third idea, or what is the third formation? My submission is the key to the next phase will be federalism. How do the regional parties are definitely going to do well? Are they going to come together? They will be together on issues. So our concept is issues. What are the policy issues? And I think the left's irrelevance I don't have to tell you about. Mr. Karat himself has said, not Mr. Raja's party, but the CPM Secretary General himself said, he's seeing the signs of major problems with the left. I would say the inner contradictions of the left has driven them down, and they are themselves admitting so.
Mr. Raja, I mean, talk to me also about something, because the left has been talking about third front now for the better part of the last 20-25 years. These are the issues why you can never put it together, which is why it always comes down to BJP or Congress or getting support from one of them.
Actually,
Mr. Karat is himself now starting to hint about possibly some sort of a thing with the Congress.
No, actually speaking, we never meant third front or fourth front. We have been campaigning for an alternative, a pro-people alternative to both the policies pursued by Congress party as well as BJP. That is what we mean to say non-Congress, non-BJP alternative. And we had situations in our country. It is not, Indian democracy is not that weak as Mr. Mitra thinks or as others think. Indian democracy is maturing. Our people are capable of giving solutions to the problems. In 1996, what happened? 1996, United Front was formed. United Front government emerged. How it emerged? After the elections, United Front was constituted on the major planks. Those parties which committed to secular democracy, those parties which committed to federalism, those parties which committed to economic development with equitable distribution of wealth and social justice, those parties which committed to good governance, transparent governance, free from corruption. These were
so you're saying again plans. After the election that's what could happen.
What I am saying, political parties draw lessons from the past experiences. People also draw lessons from the past experiences. So this possibility will have to be explored, and efforts must be made to create conditions for an alternative, a pro-people alternative.
Fair enough.
Actually, the discussion that we are having here today shows the nature of the problem today with our democracy. We are today discussing how it will be possible to form a government. The BJP is saying that, well, people must vote for one person, people must mortgage their rights for the next 5 years in favor of one person, that is Mr. Modi. Others are saying, ki, well, let us see how the new government can be formed, which is democratic, secular, etc. Today the problem is, in a vast and diverse country like India, this present model, firstly, does not respect the democratic rights of people. It assumes that the democratic rights of people is merely to vote once in 5 years and thereafter mortgage their entire democratic rights to either one person, as the BJP is saying, or to some party or coalition of parties, etc. The Aam Aadmi Party was born to change and reform the nature of our democracy itself, apart from the issue of corruption. We are saying that our democracy needs to be deepened in order to empower the
Mr.
people
Bhushan,
to
Mr. Bhushan, we know
participate.
what the Aam Aadmi Party intended or wanted, but I'm trying to say next week, 5 days from now,
So that's what I'm saying.
how could the Aam Aadmi Party possibly play a role?
The discourse, you see, the discourse in this election unfortunately did not go into, apart from the Aam Aadmi Party raising these issues, none of the other
Okay,
major
but assuming
political parties
5 days from
have
now,
been-
Aam Aadmi Party emerges with 6 to 7 seats or 10 seats, what then can it possibly do?
No,
Will it
firstly-
continue to raise the issue, try and I know I'm still counting your votes before they're hatched, but is that if that happens, you'll still try and change the discourse with the limited number of MPs that you might have?
Of course, we are saying that this country needs a fundamental revolution in the functioning of our democracy.
Okay,
and
so
in
you'll
the
go back to
functioning of
campaigning
our
for that.
democratic institutions. Our whole electoral system needs to be drastically reformed.
Okay.
Our judiciary, the police, the civil services need to be drastically reformed. See the discourse of this election. The BJP started by talking about development. Thereafter, as the election progressed, Mr. Modi's rhetoric, of course, on the top he was avoiding divisive issues himself, allowing his lieutenants at the ground level to
raise
do all
those
the
issues.
divisive stuff. Thereafter, his own discourse has shifted to divisive issues such as communal issues, such as
caste.
these
Okay.
caste issues,
Can I get
such
some
as
time to
religious issues,
answer?
etc.
Yeah. Samit-
Unfortunately,
Let him complete.
nobody in this election has focused on the real issues of either corruption. Even the BJP has forgotten about corruption. We asked them repeatedly, what do you say about this
Okay.
gas price hike? The biggest act of corruption that has taken place in this country
Can I now answer?
Okay.
since
Lot of
independence.
questions
let
thrown
him
to me.
answer. Let him answer now.
First and foremost, I mean, I take exception of one thing that Mr. Prashant Bhushan has been saying, and in fact, Mr. Kejriwal also has been saying. If you remember, Mr. Kejriwal, while being interviewed in one of the Hindi channels, said exactly what Prashant Bhushan opened his statement with, that this election is not going to get you a stable government. That this election probably is a first election which probably may be repeated after 2 years. That's what probably obliquely they are trying to refer to, what Mr. Kejriwal also referred to. So why are you demeaning, why are you in fact shouting down democracy? I see a conspiracy over here. I believe their votes, in fact the votes of Aam Aadmi Party, I'm talking for the party itself, has been bought by a party because they want in some way or other there should be some kind of instability so that they get time for themselves.
bought their
No,
vote?
in the sense that the Aam Aadmi Party has been bought by a particular party to create chaos
party?
in
Which
democracy.
party?
Just a second. I'm suggesting it is open
You're
to the
saying Aam
public.
Aadmi- let's be
The
clear.
Aam
You're
Aad-
saying Aam Aadmi Party
I'm
is being
saying
bought by the
quite-
Congress Party
Whoever,
to do
please
what?
draw your own inferences.
No, I'm just-
All
it's
I'm
obvious
trying,
inferences.
I'm
Who-
trying to suggest that the Aam Aadmi Party, in fact, is the B team, just trying to bring about chaos in the democracy of the 2014 election, so that some kind of hung parliament
And
is
that is
created,
why we raised
which is
the issue of
just
corruption
a
of the
second,
Congress.
which is not going to happen. And secondly, umpteen number of times now in the discussion, I've heard of a word called arrogance of Mr. Narendra Modi. Let me tell you over here, he's a determined man, a decisive man, a dedicated man as
And
far
a
as development is
dictatorial man.
concerned. And for God's sake, India for long span of time has seen an accidental prime minister, and probably we have assumed that accidental prime minister is a humble prime minister. No, we need a man who is dedicated for development, and
Can
that
I-
should not be bought for arrogance.
Okay, before I come to the general point, Randeep, I just wanted to ask you one question. 5-6 days from now, let's say that the results look, whichever way it goes, the Congress party, I think even the Congress party is admitting internally, is not going to go get anywhere near the seats it had got earlier, and it might well, this is not what the Congress is saying, this is what some of the opinion polls are saying, might well end up at one of its lowest tallies ever. Is there going to be any question, and I'm asking this question knowing what your answer is going to be, is there going to be any question about the future of the family and the fact that the destiny of the Congress party has for all time to come to be tied to one particular family? Is somebody going to start questioning that? Is somebody going to say that Mr. Rahul Gandhi, for example, has led the Congress party to a couple of electoral results in the past which have not been very good, and if it happens again right now, partly due to a certain sense of diffidence which we've also seen and other factors, is there going to be a questioning of the family or not?
I'm going to answer that, but before that I just want to say one thing. The same kind of phraseology, words and opinion polls were used against the Indian National Congress in 2004, including your channel.
Yes, and they were wrong.
Same in 2009, and both of the times they turned out to be wrong.
2009 they were
I
not
just
that
want to
wrong.
remind you. So, based on opinion polls, to write off the Indian National Congress perhaps is being unpalatable to us.
Okay.
We have fought the election
So I'll
well.
ask you this question again 1 week from now, if the numbers match what the opinion polls are saying.
Yeah, we have proved your opinion polls, and many in the political spectrum wrong twice, and I'm saying based on past record. 2004 India Shining and Achhe Din Aane Wale Hain perhaps is identical. India Shining fell. People of India will decide
So
whether
Randeep,
Achhe Din
obviously
Aane Wale
it is
Hain
possible
will
that
also
opinion
fall.
polls are wrong. Otherwise, given what the NDTV opinion poll is saying, then we would not be having this conversation. I'd be sitting with them and discussing cabinet ministers and who's going to get which portfolio.
Absolutely.
So yes, it is possible that
Coming
opinion
back
polls
to
can
the
get
question
wrong.
that you asked.
Now I'm asking you about the family.
Yeah, coming back to the question you asked. Gandhi-Nehru family have had a history and tradition with Congress. It's a tradition based on sacrifice. It's a tradition founded upon certain values. It's a tradition based on policies of secularism, of socialism, of welfare-based measures, converting and translating, which we tried to do over last 10 years, into statutory right-based entitlements. I think this is what is symbolical of the Gandhi-Nehru
Does that mean
family
no?
in the Indian National Congress.
In short, you are
They
saying
have
no, there's
led-
going to be no questioning
No,
of the family.
absolutely no question.
what it means?
They have led the Congress through good and bad times both.
Okay, is it also the case that within that, if the Congress party says we cannot look beyond the family, and if the result comes as the opinion polls are saying the result is going to come, is there going to be more and more pressure on Priyanka to start playing a more and more active role as opposed to her brother?
See, Miss Priyanka Gandhi Vadera has defined her own role so far. I cannot speak for her whether she wants to expand her role or not. As on date, she has confined her role to the constituency of her brother and mother. I just want to add one more line. When people in this country like Shri Narendra Modi and others question Nehru Gandhi family, when they go to Amethi and berate the memory of a former Prime Minister who's laid down his life for the country, and then turns around the phraseology used by saying that, oh, I don't understand Hindi, I was translating into Gujarati, they forget that every time Gandhi-Nehru family has been attacked, they have emerged that much stronger.
Okay.
And
Sambit,
I'm sure we will do that again.
And then Sambit, then I want to come to the others.
See, most importantly, I mean, I was listening to what my young friend and dynamic friend, Mr. Surjewala, was
First
saying.
of all,
but
you want
ironically,
he couldn't answer my question.
no,
Do you want to take a shot at that?
ironically, he was still speaking about the royal fiefdom. I mean, after 65 years, we still have a royal family ruling over this country. A royal family about which we are discussing democracy versus royal family. I mean, well, yes, they are entitled to have their own leaders. It is totally their entitlement. But still, I would say, as a young Indian, I'm really appalled that we still look only towards one family, and that's the reason as to why Mr. Narendra Modi, just second, he is a commoner who has risen through the ranks and files, a commoner once upon a time who was a chaiwala, and that's the reason as to why the royals cannot withstand a chaiwala. That's the reason as to why Manishankar Iyer says, come and sell tea over here.
Just a second. Decide who is going to rule the country.
Sambit, can I make a suggestion to you?
Please.
After the elections are over,
Yes.
Mr. Narendra Modi should send a big bouquet of flowers to Manishankar Iyer. Big. He gave you a really, really wonderful platform.
No, it's not just Manishankar Iyer. The Neech Rajniti Jai by both the brother and sister. In fact,
But you know
they're
that
the same thing.
Did you not? Is that not a bit of spin doctrine? That's not what that's probably not what she meant.
The spin doctrine
It's-
appears in
it's
the dictionary
actually
of Congress
complete
only. We don't have spin
malfeasance, if I may
doctors in
say.
our party.
Sad comment.
But no,
Yeah,
no. But
Prashant,
just
interpret this. What's the spin doctrine? Okay, hang on. I'm being told I have to take a break. I want to come back to this subject in just a couple of minutes. Quick break, and then we'll come back. You know, perhaps I should do a quick sweepstake here on the big fight. You know, ask everybody right now. Maybe I can ask all of you on online forums as well. You can start tweeting me. Let's do a sweepstake. Let's see who can get the closest to it. What is going to be the actual number that we are going to emerge with? And perhaps we can take what are the numbers that the NDA is going to get, what's the number that the Congress is going to get. Send it all out, and then perhaps we will compare notes 6 days from now and see who gets it the closest. We'll have more on that from everyone here when we come back.